Hi, everyone. Welcome to the next guest I have in my Wise Woman series. And this is Sonraya Grace. Sonraya, welcome.
Yeah, it's so excited to be sharing with you, Caroline. Thank you for the
Wonderful.
invitation.
Oh, you're very welcome. I've known Sonraya for quite a few years now, and we started off as colleagues, and now we're friends, very good friends now. And Sonraya is a beautiful, beautiful soul, and she has a wonderful specialism. So in the shamanic sense, I guess. So Sonraya, you tell me what you would call yourself in terms of your what you do and how you got started.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's interesting in terms of what we call ourselves, because I think I've gone through various reiterations over the years as you kind of grow. But
Yeah.
the name that kind of came to me through a discussion with other women, actually, I was in another coaching group and I was explaining what I did, and it was like holding a transformational space, or a space that is a safe, sacred space that allows women especially to go through deep transformation. So a bit like women that go through deep change, going through deep change within themselves, or maybe something that's come to them, life events, and helping them go through that death, rebirth, effectively. So the name that came was like, well, I'm like a midwife for the soul. So it's like then the doula. And
Yeah.
then, so now I call myself a rebirth doula, because
Mhm.
I hold that sacred space to help women really reconnect with their essence as a woman. There's been so much over the years where we've got the patriarchy society that's very much driven by greed and control and suppressing the feminine qualities and energy. So I'm not just talking about women, I'm talking about the feminine in both men and women, because we hold both polarities of the
Yeah.
divine feminine, divine masculine. Yeah, so I suppose I've been working with women and holding groups and one-to-ones for over 25 years, holding, yeah, I was counting it up myself, actually.
It's a long time. Yeah, it's a
It
long
is
time.
a
We
long,
we build up such a lot of experience because, like you, I've been doing a similar time,
yeah, you have.
and and what we know now in comparison to what we knew back then, just through experience and through that sort of organic growth, I think that we
Mm,
go through. We start off envisaging, one thing, and then through experience and changes in our consciousness and changes in the collective consciousness, we grow,
yeah,
evolve to become, what we're doing now. And who knows what we'll be doing and what will have been adjusted in the future.
yeah,
Well, but
yeah,
it's an interesting journey, isn't it? Where it takes
yes.
us and how it takes us.
And I think for me, it was always a deep dive into my own experience of who I was. I always, as I was growing up, well, who am I really?
Mm.
Who my prayer would always be to the universe, to what the benevolent force that exists around it. I want to know who I truly am,
Yes.
letting go of all the kind of the shoulds and the oughts. And so that took me on a journey, really. And you asked, how did I start? Well, I used to work in the corporate field, believe it or not, in London. I started as a secretary and
I
a
can't
team
imagine.
secretary.
I can't imagine you in the corporate field anymore because I've known you for
No,
so long. doing what you do now that I just can't
I
place.
know.
But I mean, I've had the corporate thing myself, so I know the journey, and it's like chalk and cheese, isn't it, to where we are
It
now?
is. And it's like, and then I found myself, my calling was I became a secretary to a human resources director.
Ah,
And then I thought, oh, so that was where I really felt I loved
yeah,
working and supporting people. And that was my natural. And then I worked for Prudential portfolio managers, and then I took redundancy. And for me, that was a gift the universe was giving me, because it was really difficult for me to be authentic and with integrity, because I just wanted to help the people.
yeah.
And human resources have become more like a voiced piece for management, and that didn't sit well with me.
Yeah, same. The same. I mean, I know so
Yeah,
many spiritual people that have come through human
yeah,
resources because the intention there is to help and serve people. But
yeah.
actually, the corporate world, it's yeah, it was a very different reality. And I know. I mean, I ended up training and qualifying as such in human resources management, and uh,
Oh, right.
and went through that and ended up as the head of HR. And
Ah, yeah,
I
amazing.
became very
Yeah.
disillusioned with it. So I totally get where you are. And I know so many people have come through that human resources
Mm.
pathway there. So what happened after that?
Well, one of the gifts actually when I was working there is that when I joined this training and development team, the director and the development manager at the time, they had organized like a team development event, but not the traditional kind of let's build something physically together.
Yeah.
They actually brought in a couple of skilled psychologists was their background, but obviously in coaching in business, but who had an NLP, neuro linguistic programming, looking at how you communicated and the belief systems you had. And I went on that, and basically the team had, like most teams, like represent, brings up all the family dynamics, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff had been shoved under the carpet. So this was this opportunity to develop some honest communication. And for me, that was the change,
Yeah.
big change for me, because just a simple question like, what do you want personally? What do you want professionally? And what do you want personally? That was like a key that unlocked Pandora's box for me.
Yeah.
It just, I came home and it's interesting, it brought up lots of childhood stuff about, oh my God, I've got a choice. You mean
Yeah.
I can choose to live my life how I want?
Mm.
So it brought up lots of the parts of me that didn't feel they had a choice. And
Yeah.
so I was on this journey then. And amazingly, the director did fund some one-to-one coaching support. So I had 2 years worth of support with one of the consultants. And that's where I did the deep healing started.
Yeah.
And then when redundancy came, again, that was a sort of pathway that the universe was giving me to get out, really, and to set up my own practice.
Yeah.
I did get offered to do training in America and money and all of that, but my
Yeah.
heart wasn't in that. So
No.
I followed my heart. So I started on my journey, really, and I did. It's when we started our family. This was in 2000
Mhm.
when we had our daughter,
Mhm.
um, and yeah, and we've got a son as well, Ben, who came in 2004. But both around that time, I was also doing starting to start my journey with healing. So I joined the College of Healing and did a 2-year deep dive. It was like having family therapy, and which I just loved, because that's what I love doing, is kind of I know that sounds really strange.
No, I get it, because it's very empowering.
Yes,
It's
yes,
very empowering when you uncover stuff and you can feel
yes,
yourself healing and shifting and changing and
yeah,
transforming.
yeah,
There's something in that that just makes you feel, I guess it makes you feel a little bit more in control of life as well, because
yeah,
you feel, even though, I mean, none of us are in control of life. Life flows, and we flow,
yeah,
but there's something about letting go of um, these things that have held us back, and these changing these perceptions, that you just step a little bit more into your own power increasingly, and
yeah, yeah,
confident, that inner confidence really grows,
yeah.
doesn't it? Yeah.
I think it, for me, it was the confidence and the self-esteem, and
Yeah.
that's been a thread that's run through all my life, where
Yeah.
I've carried the self-doubt,
Yeah.
and that affects your ability to speak and be confident with your voice, not just in work, but in your relationships
Yeah.
and how you show up in the world, really.
Yeah.
So I did the healing course diploma, and then continued, which was lovely because it wasn't a prescriptive healing course. It was very much about developing
Yeah.
what intuitively. So that's how I work, really. And then drawn to work with the goddess energy. That's where and that's in, yeah, around 2000, actually.
Any particular
Um,
goddess energy, or just a general sense?
well, um, I work with this amazing mentor, wise woman, Diana Summer,
Yeah.
where I used to live in Surrey. Um, and she was running a 2-year course, and it was more about connecting with the earth, um, the sacredness of the earth, and it was like deep initiation of yourself. So it was a remembering, because, and it, this is what I feel for all of us. We are remembering our gifts, all the things, whether you believe in previous lives, we have so much more within us that once we start to let go of these shackles, we start to access and then become, in a way, they're dormant within our DNA, and they get activated by going on workshops and having experiences. So yeah, so we did a lot of sacred ceremony. So sacred ceremonies is just really bringing, honoring the earth, the seasons and the cycles, and how they show up within ourselves,
Yeah.
in our own life. And since then that I really sort of recommitted
Yeah.
to that journey for myself and helping others. So that underpins, that's been the earth has
Yeah.
been my rock and foundation, really,
But
to
the
coming
earth,
back.
it's so feminine, isn't it? The earth,
Yes,
and
yes,
all the answers, and I've always felt this right since I was a child, that all the answers lie in nature. If we'd only take time to observe nature, we get the answers
yeah,
to the questions that we have inside.
yeah,
And it's healing in its simplicity. If we allow,
yes,
as humans, we have this tendency to overcomplicate
yes,
things, but the simplicity of nature, the way it transforms season by season, which we'll come to a bit
mm,
in a moment, and it's almost stoicism, nature, the way it, no matter what, it will find a way to
exactly,
survive.
yeah,
It
yeah.
is incredible. Yeah.
When you think about, I'm seeing the image of a river, and it's like, the stones and
Yeah.
the boulders that it flows around and it shapes the landscape. You know, if you think of the glaciers, how they've created valleys, and I see, you know, like the earth is the undulating body.
Yeah.
Feminine, if you like. You can see the hills are like the breasts, and then you have the hips, and then you have the dragon lines as well. Oh, that's another
Yeah.
another topic. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Which is
yeah,
fascinating. Yeah. So you can really see the sensuality of the earth in essence,
yes,
what you were
yeah.
talking about there, which is that beautiful, nurturing, beautiful, nurturing, divine feminine through the earth.
But also, you know, she's wild and powerful and
Oh,
raw. I
good for
mean,
her.
oh my God, you can't, you know, you can't control the weather.
No.
You know, you go down, I go and
Governments try.
yeah, yeah,
That's another
exactly.
subject.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm,
Um, and I'm just, even as a child, I used to spend a lot of my time actually apparently asleep as a baby
mm.
in the pram in the garden. And the friends were my birds, you
Yes.
know, and
Yeah.
nature. And I used to watch the ants and marvel at how they used to carry things and work together
Yeah.
as a team.
Yeah.
So, so I'm very connected with animals and all life. And that's where I then, with the goddess work I was then doing and embodying more, the shamanic.
Yeah.
I was drawn to that. And I think people often say, well, why did you go into that? And why did you go into that? It's like my heart, when you just feel that, if ever you've had that kind of yearning, or you're feeling a calling, it's
Mm.
that restlessness.
Yes.
Um, and sometimes where we look outside of ourselves for something, when actually really we're trying to find what's inside, but
Yeah.
we use what's outside as a
Yeah.
means for going in, but actually it's inside.
Mm.
So yeah, the earth and is very much a guide for going
Yeah.
inwards.
Yeah.
And
And I know you ran retreats, and
mm,
and a lot of them are long, like 9 months retreat, meeting at the weekends and things like that. What sort of things are involved in the retreats that you run? What's
yeah, give a
do?
feel.
What do you cover? Yeah.
Well, as I have grown, I bring a whole load of things now,
Yeah.
so I kind of weave it. So obviously we have the sacred space, so we call in the energies of the four directions. So we work with the elements of earth, air, fire, water. So they're really sort of they're the wind, they're the rain, they're the fire in the sun, it's the earth.
Yeah.
And we work with the kind of spirit animals and guides as well. So and then there will be an opportunity to speak and share, because I think particularly at the moment there's a real feeling of women and men actually that are feeling this need to come together to
Yeah.
do the work together. So I always find that's quite emotional, can be quite emotional for some, just by being in presence with each other and speaking into the circle in a safe place. Maybe they've not been able to share
Yeah.
things before.
Yeah. Just to
Um,
clarify, the women and men coming together, you run the women only retreats, and
at
men.
the moment,
Like,
I'm feeling there's a shift because
totally agree. Yeah.
yeah, maybe I'll come back to that. Let me
Yeah.
just finish on
Yeah.
the yeah, so I take people on shamanic journeys, drum journeys. So the shamanic world, it's like I hold one foot in the everyday and one foot
Yeah.
in the spirit world and help create that bridge.
Yeah.
So with intention, we can journey, and the drum is like that heartbeat of the earth that kind of that holds the steady rhythm
Yeah.
that is your safe canoe that you travel in, if you like. I like that analogy somebody gave once. So connecting, sometimes we will go up to the cosmic, to the angels, your higher self, your soul guidance, to retrieve gifts and wisdom. And other times, we're quite often we will go deep in to the earth and deep into ourselves and meet aspects of ourselves that maybe we've forgotten, that need healing or retrieving. So do soul retrievals, that kind of thing. So that might happen on a day. I bring in my crystal sound healing as well, usually at the end, to kind of help everybody relax. And there's usually some form of sacred ceremony, because that brings powerful intention. Maybe Thanksgiving, it might be going onto the land to connect with the oak trees, which I do in the New Forest. Does that give you a bit of a flavour?
Yeah, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And it's also, I think, for all of us in with busy lifestyles now as well, it's an opportunity to actually reconnect, to actually slow down without any distractions and reconnect with our innate being and with the earth energy and our spirit. And I think that's absolutely essential in the pace of life that we live today.
And I think the other thing, it's a very nourishing space. That's what I like, to non-judgmental, very sort of loving space that I like to create. And the other thing, as part of my own journey I've been on, is a deeper connection, embodied connection. So I do a lot of kind of womb wisdom and connection and rites of passage. So the womb and the pelvic bowl, whether you have a physical womb or not, the womb space is actually our creative power center. And even if you're a man, you know, in Chinese, they're Dantian. This is like the second power center. It's not the brain, it's actually our center. I can't really show you, but you know, is that sacral area. And that's where I think that deep wise woman, knowing and intuition, when we come to rest in that place, that's when we feel aligned and confident. But we hold a lot of tension and issues in there, and that's what
for everybody. I mean, I come across it a lot in the work that I do, and it's where it's the center of the emotions, isn't it? The sacral area. So it's for all of us, you know, male. Exactly. So you're also talking about feeling a shift, that retreats may have a mix of men and women in the future, which I personally love, and I feel that shift as well. And there's a lot of important work about men needing to come together at the moment, and they need to go through that process of going within as well, and discovering themselves and finding out their place in the world and what they have to be. Because I think there's been a lot of emasculation that's gone on, and a lot of confusion over recent years. There's still continued confusion out there, and I think to have retreats with both men and women, personally, I would be hugely in favor of that. That would appeal to me more because of the balance. And the different perspectives that would bring would be very healing on both sides, I think.
I it's interesting, because people asked me before why. I mean, I did used to do my drum circles with a mixed, and then I shifted to focus on women, and I think the women actually needed to do a lot of healing around their own self-worth and value, and that needed to be in a safe container. And I don't think there was a readiness to be able to then be in relationship with other men. It would have changed the dynamic. So it's had its place, and I will still continue to do that. But I'm feeling it's quite interesting with the two energies this year. It's all been about balance.
Yeah.
As above, so below, feminine and masculine coming into balance.
Yeah.
And literally over the last 2 or 3 years, I've done a lot of work on my wounded masculine.
Yeah.
Maybe from previous lives and things like that. And I feel much more unified within me.
Yeah.
So I've been on that journey as well. So now I feel there's a readiness, but I think there is a readiness. I think men are starting to come forward. And so I don't know what that would look like yet, but I'm inviting that in.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I think there's still a place for women only retreats and men only retreats, but I think there is definitely I see a place for the combined there, because I think it will bring a whole different dynamic and powerful healing, balancing the divine masculine and the feminine together. Will be very interesting. Yeah, very, very
and in fact I've just started this cacao journey, 12 months journey, because I want to deepen. So the spirit of cacao is from the earth. So I felt this was a beautiful, nourishing, loving cacao when it's taken in sacred honor of the earth. Is very heart opening, and for me that's a journey I wanted to take on, and also be able to help others. And there are men in that group as well, and I'm really valuing their contribution, and sort of like, what is it they need to feel safe to be able to open up and be vulnerable, because we're all human beings.
Yes, exactly.
With stuff going on, there's no
they just chosen to embody a male in this lifetime, but and it's every gender has its own, each gender has its own challenges, but it is at the end of the day for all of us a journey of self-discovery and
it is.
So,
and actually my calling, my purpose is about unity. It's always been about unity for myself, but for the planet. And so it makes sense that we're beginning that Aquarian age where we're coming together, creating new communities, if you like. So that's exciting.
Yeah, very, very exciting. Lots to come still on that one. And talking of lots to come, we have you have just completed writing and had published a new book, which will be out
on the 12th of December.
12th of December 2022, for anyone that's watching us after that date. Anyone that's watching us before that date, there is, if you look in the details, a pre-order link. But tell us about it, because I'm so excited about this book, the first of a few books to come, I know, with you, and I am so excited about it. So tell me all about it. What's
well, here she is.
Show us your cover.
I don't know whether you can see very well, actually.
Mother Earth is calling you. Winter wisdom.
So it's Mother Earth is calling you. Winter wisdom. So wow, this book has been a journey in itself. It has its own life and spirit. And I first started, the first words that were born on paper was in 2010. So a long time. But it's been through so many like dips and dives, and an
evolution.
Sorry?
Evolution.
Yeah, and with that, it's brought a depth and a richness of wisdom. I actually had a reading the other week, and somebody said, you've got so much wisdom. You're a gatherer of wisdom and energy. And I thought, that's true. I'm a wisdom keeper, of the earth.
that'll be held within the energy of the book as well. So that will
Yeah,
not just the words, but all that love and that. And I know you, and I know how much love comes from you, and how much
yeah.
of that wisdom will come through in the energy of that book. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's a powerful guide to embrace the magic of your wise woman.
Oh, lovely.
Um, and it's very much about, we're starting with winter. It was going to be one book for all the seasons, and it was growing and growing and becoming so big. It's like I said to the universe, how am I going to finish all of it? It just feels too big to hold. It felt like this baby that I was holding
Yeah,
in my womb
yeah,
space. And it was like, and then it was this clear directive as I came back from a walk, having plopped this question out into the universe. Publish The Winter as
yeah,
your first book, the foundation
yeah,
that the others will rest on.
yeah,
So, and I felt such heat actually coming up from the earth through because that's another form of my intuition,
yeah,
having been on through the menopause,
yeah,
is this, and it's like that power rising
yeah,
and confirmation. So this year's been intense finishing it. So it's very much about how we are cyclical beings, and how the seasons, the wisdom of the seasons, are mirrored within. So
yeah,
we talked about that at the beginning, didn't we?
yeah,
So it is written for women, but it is very open again for anybody who can identify with being a cyclical being, want to learn more, to connect with the wisdom of winter.
yeah,
So winter, people don't get really excited about winter because it feels like it's dead, not a lot's happening.
yeah.
But if you actually sit with it
Mm,
and invite it in, there's a kind of richness. It's a very voidal kind of cosmic mother energy that's holding us. And like you were saying, it's like as the trees and plants begin to draw their energy in, there's an invitation.
yeah,
And you were saying about, we can feel that in our body. Yeah, life is busy, but our
yeah,
body's willing to go in and kind of snuggle in and rest. And so there's this invitation with lots of nourishing practices,
yeah.
talking. There's an activation when you read it,
Yeah.
definitely. It's a remembering.
Yeah, I
Um,
think you're absolutely spot on, because I think that, your immediate perception of winter is cold, dark, sort of everything's sort of in hibernation, and but if you
mm,
actually allow yourself, and we distract ourselves, and we'll watch movies, or we'll see friends, or we're on Facebook, or there's a big distraction
mm,
going on. But if you actually stop and look at the season, and look at what the season is doing,
mm,
and it's going within, and it's going through that whole replenishment process, it's resting,
yes.
it's slowing down, it's you look at what nature's doing, and it's
Mm.
such a vital part of preparing for the spring and all the new.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, but when we slow down and actually appreciate what is going
Mm.
on, and we actually listen to the body. I mean, I don't exercise as much in the winter as I do in the spring
No.
and summer, and I've started listening to my body a lot more.
Mm.
It's serving me so much more. You've always been good at listening to your body, and I haven't. I haven't been good, but I've started doing it more, and I've
Mm.
started living
That's
more with
brilliant.
the seasons. It's probably your influence on me, and it's paying off. I can feel it paying,
Good.
and I can feel myself in rhythm with the earth. Uh,
Yeah, don't fight it. It's
uh,
like we've got to surrender. I mean, there's always that kind of bit of resistance. I feel my body, oh, letting go of the summer, oh, that's been so light and joyful. And actually as we go into the autumn, the winter, and all that rain and the grey skies but light the candles,
yes, yeah,
and go, just feel that cosseting of you and nurturing you.
Yeah, it's like a hug, isn't it? It's
Oh,
like
sorry,
putting
it does. I'm doing this.
yeah. But it's like
Snuggle
it's
up.
like a hug.
Yeah.
We can feel the sensuality of the winter as well, can't we? With the
Yes.
candles
Yes.
and the fire and the maybe a rug and the coldness on your face, but the warmth within.
Yes.
You know, there
And
is.
we've got to keep that heart flame alight
Yeah,
inside. So that's the intention, is that it's like we're looking for the light outside, but go
yeah,
within,
yeah,
close your eyes, and actually there is light there, and nurture that light. So in my book I talk a lot about also letting go.
yeah.
So because so I talk about the wheel of the year, the Celtic wheel of the year, as a way, as a gentle framework for coming into rhythm, coming back to our wild nature and listening to our instincts. I talk a lot about the ancestors as well. So ancestral healing, a lot of the things that we still carry are what our ancestors couldn't, our immediate ancestors couldn't process or deal with, and they may have beliefs that, like poverty, consciousness, for example, that runs, as you know,
Yeah.
Caroline, runs in the blood, in the DNA,
Oh, yes.
comes down our umbilical cord into our navel. So that's where, in the hips, so working through all that, facing our shadow, not being afraid of those fears and doubts, and it's just those parts of ourselves that are wanting to be loved and brought home to the heart.
Yeah.
And then sowing the seeds for the new in our womb, our creative space, in the cosmic womb, and helping people to prepare, replenish.
Beautiful, beautiful. So are you going to write one for every season?
Yes. Yes, I can feel the next one coming already.
Are you birthing it?
It's interesting. It feels like it might be the summer one. And you might think, well, why not the spring first? But there's this wildness, wild sensual sexuality that I'm journeying with. Having been through the menopause is like an inner winter. So we can so many women out there, you might be thinking, what the hell? This is a rite of passage. This is an initiation. So if we can kind of understand the broader perspective of what this is an amazing time. It can feel shit.
Yes.
I had a lot of physical symptoms. I had a lot of emotional stuff, detoxing through my body, the hot flushes. It was our power rising. So embrace it.
It's easier said than done. I'm through the other side. I've been through it for 9 years, and I'm out, thankfully, on the other side now, thank God. But and it varies, because some women, they don't have too many symptoms and they just seem to sail through it. For me, all the emotional stuff came up first of all for me, and then it was thankfully with herbal and homeopathic medicine I was able to cruise the rest of it, really. But I know a lot of women go through a lot of ups and downs through it, and it actually it's a great thing to change your perspective of going, instead of thinking, these damn hot flashes of, my power is rising.
It made a difference, actually.
I can imagine it would. I never think about that, but I love that perspective.
And I think, try not to say not go to the doctor, but just investigate it a bit more, that
Yeah.
there are other options. So I did homeopathy for
Yeah.
my migraines.
Yeah.
I had purging, it's
Yeah.
just like, but maybe that's my body,
Yeah.
way of dealing with it. And I use acupuncture was
Yeah.
brilliant for bringing balance as
Yes.
well,
Yeah.
which I still do. I go through phases of doing that. Um, and actually in the book I talk about our inner seasons, our menstruality, and I
Yeah.
touch on the menopause, and that I feel at the moment this book and me is like coming through a rebirth, because I've been
Yes.
through the inner winter to
Yes.
write this,
Yes.
which
Yes.
I didn't realize at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true. Yeah.
And so there's this feeling of more vitality, more energy, more passion. And for me, being more visible it has been something I've had to work on. My throat,
Yeah.
which is the higher octave of the sacral.
Yeah.
I've had to, as I've cleared that area, this has started to free
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So I do bring my voice in chanting and singing,
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Mm.
Well, time is against us, unfortunately, on this
Yes.
occasion, but we must do another discussion at some point,
Yeah, that would be lovely.
because there's always so much to talk about, and so much that
Yeah,
people
there is, and you can't pin it down,
know.
and I suddenly think, have I been very specific enough?
You've absolutely been fascinating, and there's so many more questions I'd like to ask you, but
Yeah,
leave for another time. So
yeah, that's fine.
your book can be pre-ordered now. If people are watching this before the 12th of December 2022, it can be pre-ordered on the link in the details.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this after the 12th of December 2022, they can get it on all good bookshops.
Amazon, major
And
bookstores, yeah.
yeah,
If you want to book direct from me, you can, to get a signed copy.
will you do an
Um,
audio recording of it at some point as well?
I'm hoping to do an audio book next year.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
So
Yeah,
it's available in Kindle and paperback,
yeah,
and I have got some in-person retreats that are happening as well in the New Forest. I've also got an online workshops that I'm doing over the winter. So if anybody feels supported through the dark
yeah.
phase of the year, then they can find that on my website.
Fantastic. And I'll put all the details again in the details of this. And I know Sonraya's had the most incredible feedback from her retreats. So do please, and I know I'm biased because I'm your friend, but do please check Sonraya out, because she really is absolutely amazing and beautiful at holding that sacred space in a very non-judgmental way. Beautiful soul.
Oh, thank you, Kat. And likewise, you're amazing at what you do. And
Oh,
I've had the blessing of receiving your amazing intuitive healing and guidance.
oh, bless you. Thank you. So thank you, Sonraya Grace, for gracing us with your fantastic
Yes.
and your beautiful presence today. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And yeah, see you next time on the next video.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thanks so much, Caroline. Lovely
Bye,
to share with
everyone.
you. Bye bye now. Bye.